Welcome back to the Butter Bunch. My name is Jacob Butter, and I'm back with another episode of Wayward Guide. Wayward Guide episode 9 and podcast episode 8. You know the deal with this. So I felt a bit awkward or seemed like, very sickly as well. That's maybe because I am. Basically, so yesterday, actually, there was supposed to be another Mysteries of Occulta episode. We had it all planned and everything. Well, sort of. I'm still on the fence about whether or not BB actually was aware of the plan in the first place, given the timing of different messages. But that's neither here nor there. Basically, both Ghosty and I had, a couple of issues occur to us. My one was mainly self-inflicted. It was basically, there was a cultural festival that I stayed for and attended, and then got dehydrated because it involved a lot of singing and dancing in the blazing sun. And I'm still not fully recovered from that experience. I got into work the next day. I unfortunately only had one class on today. So yeah, I was going to say, should hand off streaming to somebody else today. BB said that her internet is not so good. Aiden didn't respond. He doesn't really like host these things anyway. So basically, I guess I'm here for right now. So I'm not. So basically, take what I say today with a grain of salt, because obviously, if I'm not in the proper mental state, I might not commentate the same way as normal, or be as thorough in reviewing as I often am. Because I'm not as bad as I was before, but still pretty bad. So let's go ahead and start with chapter 8 and go from there. So yes, without further ado, on with the review.
Chapter 8.
I suppose.
When the impossible comes knocking at your door, how do you meet it? Do you curl up in a ball of despair and hide away? Do you leave it up to others to do what you cannot because you're too fearful of what you will find? Or do you meet it with courage? The courage to defy everything you've ever believed in order to get to the truth. With our initial and very logical hypothesis blown to pieces, it was time to earn our modest keep. Unfortunately, the increasingly volatile situation in Connor Creek would make our jobs far more difficult moving forward.
Yeah, the part that she says there about the impossible, like defying your own beliefs and very logical conclusions, that definitely reigns true after what happened in the companion series episode 8. Because to be honest, that is that's at the end of that one definitely was a case of, oh, okay, all right, so they're not just either hallucinating these things or under certain delusions. There is actually something for real that's going on. I'm not sure what to think of that right now. I sent the description that by having that ending that they did, they have inadvertently possibly sacrificed something that was a huge appeal for me, at least in terms of Wayward Guide itself. But I'm getting ahead of myself right now. If I will probably address that at the end of the video if I don't forget, because again, not well.
Forward.
Not to mention that at this point, we had pissed off most of the locals and no one was willing to engage with us.
We had hit a dead end, so we had no choice but to backtrack.
You know that scene in the movie where the heroes stand in front of an enormous corkboard trying to link together all the disparate elements with a ball of yarn? Well, that's where we were at.
We had a collection of asymmetrical puzzle pieces and no idea how they were supposed to fit together, but there was...
I think most puzzle pieces are supposed to be asymmetrical, right? Otherwise, they're, it's not a very good puzzle.
But there was one trail we had not yet blazed. Throughout our stay in Connor Creek, Paul had been following any and all werewolf leads, often irritating and inconveniencing me in the process. But what I once thought to be wasted hard drive space turned out, at the 11th hour, to be worth its weight in silver.
What can I say?
I like the worth its weight in silver. Very nice. But also, hold on, wasted hard drive space. Have they been cataloging this at some point? I don't remember them ever. Well, I guess they would have to, use that store the footage somewhere. I mean, I suppose that is something. Maybe that's what you meant by wasted hard drive space. Otherwise, they haven't seen them use computers or anything during this time. At least I don't think so. Anyway, have we seen any of the locals use computers either? I mean, no moments spring to mind necessarily. I think there might have been one at the reception desk, but I might just be auto-filling that in my head. it would track for them to be, in the still in the olden ways, so to speak. So maybe I'll look out for that again if I remember
Hey,
to.
I had werewolves on the mind. And I was prepared to talk it out with anyone who was willing to listen.
That anyone was me. Indiscriminately. Anytime, anywhere.
I spoke to myself.
Well, I mean, until the people, that said they were actually werewolves would probably have listened to him, I would have hoped.
To myself, too. Besides, unprecedented times call for unprecedented thinking. And if my lifelong fascination with conspiracy theories had prepared me for anything, it was this.
We must have missed something on our first go-around. From here on out, even the wildest explanations were back on the table.
I mean, that implies they were on the table to begin with, according to Artemis, but, or if they were ever off the table, according to Paul. So, I guess either way you look at it, really.
Artemis.
Polyolly Oxenfree.
From the American Podcasting Network,
Okay.
This is the WAYWARD Guide for the Untrained Eye.
On every APN story we produce, we capture hours upon hours of tape. We end up with everything imaginable, including...
If I was actually listening to a Wayward Guide for the first time, if I just, tuned in universe for the first time, I would have thought that, Paul was named Artemis and Artemis was Polyolly Oxenfree, rather than, introducing each other.
Everything imaginable, including interviews, soundscapes, and even our own thoughts and conversations. The latter is a useful reference as we sift through the raw audio when editing the show, but normally we wouldn't include those personal clips in the final product.
It would be like turning in an essay where you cite what Wikipedia says instead of going to the source that Wikipedia uses, but that's just what we're about to do because we have no other option.
I was going to say, that's a very good point. Yeah, the Wikipedia listing their sources is, a huge, godsend in terms of essays. Not that it's suggested by most people you're sending essays to, i.e., colleges and such, that even use Wikipedia. But hey, if you check the sources, then as long as you make sure to reference the specific one that they used, no one is going to fault you for that, I don't think.
We combed through all of our tape.
Okay, this is Paul. Night 2 in Connor Creek. We just got back from the home of Aubrey Dockweilers, a local historian. And boy, did he have some very peculiar things to say about werewolves.
This is nothing, Paul. All we found was a book with some pages ripped out. Probably because they were filled with nonsense that wasn't worth keeping. Even Aubrey said his grandfather who wrote it was nuts.
Then why was he so cagey when we pressed the subject?
Dramatics, Paul. People love messing with journalists. Let's focus on...
I don't like how they're recording themselves doing this. I understand that, they don't include these normally, but why did they record them? I guess maybe to remember what their thoughts were at the time. That's possibly it.
People love messing with journalists. Let's focus on facts.
But just look around at this isolated mountain town. This is the perfect place for monsters to live. You're telling me that Ryan didn't look like he was mauled by some sort of werewolf?
Different regions have different myths. This used to be a mining town. People probably used to die from horrific accidents or go missing in the mines, so they chalked it up to werewolves as a way to scare kids and keep them away. This doesn't look right.
I guess, to be honest, if you wouldn't want your kids getting scared of the mines if your town relies on mining. But also, what do you mean it used to be a mining town? How long ago did they record this? They very much are still a mining town. If anything, they've revitalized their mining efforts.
This doesn't look right. Were we supposed to go left back at that fork in the road? In retrospect, you were onto something.
Well, Artie, I always followed the facts in this case, even if the facts were hunches.
But you understand why I was resistant at the time, right?
Sure. After a steady stream of killings and sightings, hindsight really is 20/20.
Hi.
I do know that that this is one thing I appreciate about this is that since they probably edited the podcast things obviously they had to edit everything after they got back. They have been perfectly portraying the way that they thought at the time and their interactions and such. That in a sense that you would think that okay, well maybe things didn't change from this point. So both of them together have collectively managed to make this story in the way they did. Even Paul with his interjections and very clearly off the cuff moments, he actually still at least respects the narrative flow that they're trying to represent, even if these are based on real events. So yeah, again, it does show the synergy between them and the actual common goal.
President of LAPS, the Los Angeles Paranormal Society, and amateur dungeon master.
When we first encountered the possibility of werewolves, I knew I would need to consult a
We're missing out Dungeon Master today. I don't know where he is.
professional to get my facts straight. Of course, I'd seen every film iteration of the Wolfman, but I needed to learn more if I was going to seriously chase this lead. So I spent some time sussing out the real-life practicalities of werewolves with an expert on the subject, my roommate, Liam White.
Yeah, werewolves are definitely real. Okay, in the last century, we haven't had many documented sightings, but they do turn up from time to time, like Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster sightings. There have...
You said, hold on. Okay, you say last century, I guess because like all the documents that, I mean, again, Nick Lang's character had, I keep forgetting his name. I guess that because they date like way further back potentially. I mean, there is obviously like a whole thing about documents that are that like date back to certain points being very hard to verify, I suppose. So maybe that's why they specified.
Loch Ness Monster sightings. There have likely been more, but society doesn't give people the space to explore the truth.
So is it true that werewolves only transform during a full moon?
Well, would I say that argument holds up in a court of law? No. There's no legal precedent regarding beasts of the night. But the monthly lunar cycle is a staple of our historical findings. Speaking
historical findings.
Of monthly cycles, were you planning on Venmoing me for the utility bills? I owe some money to some very intimidating LARPers. Don't screw me on this.
Interesting that you just labeled
Intimidating
Liam as both
LARPers?
a professional and an expert.
Desperate times, Artie. Plus, he's as legitimate.
I do love the idea of that being intimidating LARPers. I just imagine them poor. I mean, I guess a lot of LARPers, use real swords nowadays, so you never know.
Fringe ideas.
But the full moon angle didn't really hold water. There was a full moon our second night in Connor Creek, the night we visited Aubrey, but that's one of the only nights there wasn't an attack.
Interesting.
I mean, depending if there was a full moon the night before, that would actually track with, Ryan's death, I suppose.
Interesting. And what about silver bullets being the only way to kill a werewolf?
Well, excavations of ancient civilizations have unearthed graves of human skeletons with extended femurs. While many would argue this is a result of human evolution, Lapps has confirmed these to be the remains of werewolves. In several cases, small...
I guess it says laps, but it's obviously, it sounds like labs, as if like they have labs on their side. I will say also, if we're talking about like human evolution, I guess you'd have to compare that to, other skeletons found around the same area, unless werewolves happen to, be like in a whole town that would happen to have been or a whole burial site specifically for them, then you would have to probably you have to probably like expand your results a little bit, or your data. Sorry, expand your data a little bit.
Silver pellets have been found lodged in the bones or near the graves, leading us to conclude that this has been a historically preferred way to kill a werewolf. However, our refutable evidence also suggests that the claw of another werewolf is the only other thing that can pierce a werewolf's heart.
And just so we have it for the record, what are the sources you're pulling from here?
Yes, primarily all of the Underworld movies, but not the ones without Kate Beckinsale. She was the backbone of that franchise.
Right. I didn't know there were other Underworld movies aside from the first one, to be honest. If anyone doesn't remember, Underworld was, I think it was a 2003 movie that, yes, did star Kate Beckinsale, and I guess it had sequels to it, so I was not aware of this. Yeah. Fun fact about Kate Beckinsale, she's the daughter of Richard Beckinsale, who is one of the characters in one of my favorites comedy shows that I aim to talk about at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I guess if you haven't decided to keep researching, from your very factual Underworld movies experience, then that's on you for not expanding your data sources.
Shut up, Bridget! I'm working. God.
So if silver is a werewolf's kryptonite, it seems sort of dangerous for our werewolf to attack so close to the silver mines of Connor Creek.
And yet, Paul said this was the perfect place for them to live, so there you go.
The history of werewolves wasn't turning out to be much help. Wow, a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Hey, this is
Accurate
Paul,
one.
Night 5 at Connor Creek. I just had an idea in a dream. Psst, Marty, you awake?
I haven't realized until this episode really how their time has been progressing. Because again, we watch these once a week, so it's hard to say oh yeah, okay, this was these episodes take place over the course of the same day or not. But yeah, naturally they would have to in certain cases because they flow right off one after another sometimes. I don't know.
What?
Okay, I need to bounce something off of you. What if the werewolf is an outsider? Does it even make sense that they live in town? Especially with the silver deposits. That's like tap dancing in a minefield.
It's like 4 a.m. Well, we know murderers most likely know their victims. And the nearest thing resembling a town is like 70 miles from here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even at werewolf speed, it would be a full day on foot to get here. They'd have to
Define werewolf speed exactly. Did Liam tell you the average speed of werewolves based on their extended femurs?
to be somewhere near the town, maybe even right here in the center of it. Plus, this place is tiny. We'd definitely notice if a stranger was walking around town with blood dripping from his mouth.
Paul.
Sorry, or her mouth.
Paul,
Yeah.
can I go back to bed now?
If you were still
I guess if the attacks happen at night, you would probably like miss the blood on them, supposedly. But yeah,
if you were still alive, you were still a suspect, which made our persons of interest list kind of long.
This killer knew what they were doing.
Not so
They
long.
made it difficult to rule anyone out.
You can't just go up to people and say, "Excuse me, sir or madam, are you a werewolf?"
Right. It begged the
no, they often volunteer that information for you. Actually,
been avoided if Connor Creek had any security cameras.
Morning Musings, Day 3, Tape 2. We haven't even considered werewolf amnesia. Are we sure they even remember what they've done or who they've attacked after they transform back? And if they don't
that's a good point. I forgot that was a thing for a lot of werewolves' experiences. Yeah,
transform back, and if they don't remember, are they culpable? I'd have to brush up on
I think Paul also, like himself, mentioned that was a side effect that he thought he was under. You know, when he thought he was a werewolf, or I don't know, half werewolf or whatever, and thus quarter wolf and 3/4 human or whatever he was supposed to
my
be.
criminal law, but I think a compromised mental state at the time of murder is a defense. But how could you prove that?
I think so too. I forgot.
Especially since we have zero fucking proof.
Paul, you've been in there for 45 minutes and I need to shower. Wrap it up.
Wait, if we're taking amnesia into consideration, how do we know one of us wasn't a werewolf?
What?
Well, think about it, Paul. If a wolf is completely oblivious to their actions when transformed, then it's likely no one was lying when they claimed they weren't linked to the attacks.
I guess if you think about it, you have to like look at the person's potential, like clothes, or if they woke up in a different place that they, fell asleep. Unless the werewolf is like, someone's like subconscious emerging, like most portrayals of Mr. Hyde, specifically not like the original book. I'm specifying that just for the record. So I mean, you have to think like that. If they are, aware enough to aware pun. Not intended. If they're aware enough that to return to the exact place that they emerged from, then that's a whole other matter altogether, I suppose.
Us. Maybe the town's suspicions of us weren't completely unfounded.
Artie, that's not funny. We're not werewolves. That's ridiculous.
Relax. I'm kidding. That line of thinking was a detour that ignored any unified motive.
And if there wasn't a reason to link the killings, then we had wasted our week stringing together unrelated gluten-free breadcrumbs.
Thank you for taking my dietary restrictions into account in that metaphor.
There had to be a
I'd have to. I wonder if the chef guy had to take that into consideration as well.
and minor.
By the way, one thing that's in a Dr. Mike video, that apparently if you have celiac disease, you actually not only should be avoiding gluten products, but also food prepared in kitchens where gluten is handled. So I don't know if it's a case that that Artemis just prefers to not have gluten, or she actually physically can't. I wonder. In either case, chef guy's got to be careful.
Mole's plans.
So if the werewolf had actually been hiding out in Connor Creek for decades, it stood to reason that the silver didn't kill it. But Minor Mole was the largest operation to ever hit the town. Maybe such a large disruption would weaken it. Maybe, like Ryan, the werewolf was also anti-mining.
But that conflicted with the fact that a lot of the victims, including Ryan, were actively against Minor Mole.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I was saying before. If a werewolf were, were like sentient enough or aware enough to know, again, to reset themselves afterwards and whatever, then surely you would think that I guess they would be aware enough to also choose their victims specifically rather than who just happened to be in the area. Because a lot of werewolf historical documentation uses the idea that that they are unaware of what they do during that time because they're acting off of some sort of wolfish instinct, or was soon to be wolfish instinct at the time. So yeah, I don't know. I think, to be honest, we're going with the sentient werewolves basically. I'm saying sentient incorrectly. I know that much. I don't know. Also, we've got a first message for today. MKW has to eat gluten-free IRL. Oh, Mary Kate Wiles. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, it took me a second to. By the way, just so you know, I am. I said this at the beginning of the video for the VOD watchers, but I'm not feeling very well. I got very dehydrated yesterday. My head is still hurting. My throat's still dry, so I'm not at full capacity today. It might take me even longer to catch on to things than it normally does, which is saying a lot in these videos sometimes, but not so much in others. I'll give myself credit there. Anyway, so I guess if it's in an allusion to the actress, then potentially it is something like celiac potentially. So yeah, in that case, once again, watch out, Chef Guy.
Actively against Minor Mole. Why would a werewolf kill the people on their side, especially if they had been living here in peace up until now?
Making sense of that question led to an entirely new theory. Whoever controlled the silver could use the threat of mining to blackmail the werewolf into killing their allies.
Which brought us back to Silas Torsen.
Silas...
I like how this episode particularly is just them really fully going into the werewolf stuff.
to gain from Truman winning the election, and the presence of anti-mining activists was getting in the way of that.
And Barney's death may have been the first indication that Silas overestimated his power. Silas was controlling the werewolf to do his bidding by weaponizing large amounts of silver against it. The werewolf was tired of submitting and began to fight back.
Who knows how long it had been going on before we arrived in town? Remember what Silas said back in his office during my first interview with him?
After I'm through here, there's no way the big wigs at Minor Mole don't promote me again. I'm pouring a lot of resources into Connor Creek, you understand? And it's working. This entire town is under my silver spell. We gotta do big things to make even bigger news.
I like how they added an echo effect on top of that. At least at the end there, to re-emphasize the flashback aspect. It's like, remember, this is very important. Just so you all know. Aha. That's fun. Also, by the way, yeah, so I did say that I probably wasn't going to stream today, but just like yesterday, there was meant to be a D&D session, and we kind of canceled that as well for my reasons and also other stuff going on. But yeah, BB's internet isn't doing so well. Aiden is nowhere to be found, so yeah. I'm doing better than I was yesterday. I'm just not fully recovered yet, so I should be all right.
My silver spell. In typical Silas arrogance, he had tipped his hand. We just didn't know it at the time.
And to think that there was once a time you didn't even believe there was a werewolf, only to end up with a conclusion involving mind control.
I know. I'll be the first to admit it sounded cuckoo bananas, but it was the most logical answer we had. Follow the line of inquiry to the end. Silas thought Truman was the answer to his problems. Ryan's platform performed better than expected and threatened Silas's plan. Silas took out Ryan with the werewolf and started to inflict fear in the town that voting anti-mining was dangerous. The werewolf began to rebel and Silas lost control. The killings got out of hand and the town revolted.
The only issue here is, of course, that Artemis still said that there was a time when Silas didn't believe there was a werewolf. So if he did believe there was a werewolf, he suddenly found one. Him immediately subduing it to his cause of silver mining was, that is the far-fetched aspect in here, aside from, again, werewolves being a main argument in the first place, which, again, until last episode still had some plausible deniability behind it.
And the town revolted.
So Silas was more than just the white-collar criminal we suspected. He was a cold-blooded murderer in cahoots with a mythical beast.
Exactly. And he was backed against the wall. No drilling was going to get done with the town on high alert.
Our new suspicions gave way to a wave of follow-up questions. Did Truman know the lengths to which Silas stooped? Were the Irons family involved in his plot to pull this off? And how did Silas even find out about the werewolf in the first place?
We didn't know, but there was a way we could find out. Which brings us back to our final night in Connor Creek. Armed with a new theory, I knew Silas...
Oh, final night. Oh, okay. They weren't even there for a week in that case.
Under
Wow.
pressure. We decided to leave the dead canary and head back to Minor Mole before Silas slithered out of town. But it wouldn't be easy. Folks like Riley Kirkland were patrolling the streets, part of the werewolf hunting task force that was out for blood. But we weren't about to go home without the truth, even if that meant risking our necks.
I guess the question they would have now is, if they were outside at night, I guess they would, and they didn't transform, then that's also another thing as well. If the full moon wasn't out,
risking our necks one final time.
Actually, yeah, if they've been there for a week and there was a full moon specifically on the second night and not any of the others in question, then you would think that in that case the lunar cycle would not be connected to the werewolf attacks. Unless the lunar cycle started after Ryan's apparent mauling, in which case it's still not connected. So, yeah, again, another good question.
We had finally completed our puzzle, a clear picture laid out before us. But we quickly discovered that our investigation was only a corner of a much larger puzzle, whose architect had yet to reveal themselves.
Oh no, not Chimera, I hope. Truman, this is getting crazy. How am I supposed to run a business when the town is wrapped up in all this werewolf shit? Look, you promised me the drilling permits in exchange for the resources to beat the Reynolds boy. That's it. Quid pro quo.
What's the problem? You got the permits, didn't you? The deal was I get to do it my way. And this is my way.
All right, Miss.
When did they get this footage is the question. Because if you saw from like when Truman showed up in the last episode, there wasn't much time for, let's say, conversation. Did they bug his room or something? Like I don't recall if they did or not, but I'd be surprised.
My way charade has gone on way too long. We're done.
Oh, on the contrary, we are just getting started, Mr. Torson. Why don't you let me handle the werewolf, and you can keep digging yourself out of that hole you're in. Unless, of course, you'd rather be buried in it.
Threat! That's a threat. Listen, lady, I've been recording all our conversations as collateral, so good.
Ah, there we go. All right, that makes sense then.
Good luck following through on that.
If that's the case, I wonder how they got this footage. I guess we've got to find out in this episode.
Out of my boy Nixon's playbook, I've got the negotiating power here. Call off the task force and make this go away, or I
You
swear
don't believe in God, Silas. You only believe in yourself. In the power of greenbacks and greed, in blackmail and bribery. I, on the other hand, believe in the power of persuasion. That even the wildest of beasts can be tamed. And that's why the werewolf listens to me. Just like you do.
There we go.
Yeah, well, as long as you have control and no one else gets hurt. Deal?
Deal.
Interesting in that case. So she isn't the werewolf. Well, I mean, she never transforms or anything, but that's what seemed to be implied last time. Well, then again, there are several werewolves that she's not aware from the town. But
I'm
yeah.
holding the reins. But by the time we got to Minor Mole, Silas Torson was already dead.
Next time on the season finale of Wayward Guide.
Hey Artemis, Madison here. If you can give me a call back, we've made some massive discoveries. You're gonna want to hear this.
Hey, Madison, sorry I missed your call. Want to text me a location to meet up? Oh, wait.
Okay. Before we move on, in every mystery ever, I might have said this before, if a character says that they have information over the phone and they fail to provide said information over the phone, and they want to meet up at a certain point, and they say so on the phone, they're not making that journey. They're dying before they get there. Never fails. I've seen too much Agatha Christie. even then, not just Agatha Christie. It's like a very common trope that no one talks about in mysteries. So yeah, nice knowing you, lady.
Oh, wait, you don't have a cell.
Oh wait,
Call me
Madison.
when you get this.
Hey Artemis, Madison again. Oh, wait.
She's
call
alive.
Back right now. Ignore this.
Hi, Madison. Hello? Oh, I thought you picked up, but I guess you sent me to voicemail.
Sorry about that. I think I just sent you to voicemail. I just wanted to tell you that
We're sorry. The voicemail box belonging to
Artemis Shoehorn
is full. Please try again
Oh
later.
no. Yeah, try again later. Good luck with that. Or like, see you later. I should not be doing that with my head. That was a bad idea.
Tin Can Brothers presents Wayward.
Yeah, they already presented it. I don't know why they put that at the end. Yeah, okay, that was that part. It is interesting to see, like, in the episode, in episode 8, Artemis seemed to be like spiraling during the day, especially when interacting with the locals. But in that one, she kind of seemed more, well, I guess more collected. But then again, it is like their thoughts post hoc, so to speak. So we don't get that sense of what was going on at the actual time itself. So again, we're missing out that character components, let's say, in terms of the companion series. I think we did talk about that last week in terms of how they've deviated, because Aiden had missed a couple episodes and hadn't caught up, so he wasn't aware of how they've sort of deviated into different areas, I suppose. But yeah, I guess next time is the season finale. I forgot if that was the case or not. So all right, I guess I'm pretty sure there were 10 episodes in total from of Wayward Guide itself. Because otherwise, we're watching the season finale right now, and I'm hoping that's not the case, because that'd be very underwhelming for Aiden and BB, who aren't here today. Perhaps I should have rethought this stream after all, to be honest. But yeah, all right. A solid build to the climax, which I guess we're about to see right now. So without further ado, on with the review again.
Let me start by saying I am a big fan of the podcast. You psycho. I've listened to some of your work. You're good. You ask the tough questions.
The first person in this channel to actually take interest in Artemis specifically, rather than outside. Well, I guess the heart isn't beating now, because we pointed that out last time about how the heart still beating actually does make sense if it's been recently ripped out, because they keep going for some time. But yeah, now it seems to have stopped, but we still hear a heartbeat sound effect, which I think is probably Artemis's heart rather than Silas's. But we'll see.
Your heart's in the right place.
Oh no, it's still beating. Never mind.
Like Silas here.
That's a really good effect, actually, in terms of getting that to still beat.
You did it. You killed all these people. But why? You won the election. No thanks to you.
See, in politics, you really have to play the long game.
Okay, so she is transforming. All right. Okay, that's Buffy levels of goofy. But then again, I guess the effects that would have been state of the art in the 90s would be more readily accessible with their budgets. I don't know.
Oh god! But then you came along to speed up my plan. If you already had power, why kill your fellow wolves? Oh, the Connor wolves. No, we're not on speaking terms.
That's a good point. We never considered that. Different werewolf families might not just be as united. That's a fair statement. Again, if they are sentient in this way, and I guess there is no amnesia, so it was obviously politically motivated because Truman. Okay, so next one's the finale. Got it. All right then. I'll make sure everyone's there for that. If not, we'll do a different thing in between.
I'm more of a lone wolf with a taste for vengeance.
Ah, yes. Now he gets to be intimidating for real. Good old Desmond.
Connor.
Connor? Oh, okay. I thought it was Desmond for some reason. Maybe that's the case. It was, Connor Creek. Maybe Desmond was his disguise the whole time. Yeah, see, created by Tin Can Brothers. Put it at the beginning.
Okay.
How should I go document this? This is, I guess, the disadvantage of having of doing a radio show is that there's no way to do this justice without it seeming fake. And again, another classic thing of them doing a fight sequence to to a musical sting, like the din as she surged forward. That's nice as well.
You have no idea how much
much. I'm going to enjoy this.
Oh, don't tell me. Oh, he had silver in his room. I guess he would, probably. Again, Sardis Dawson. You can hear the bird as well.
Desmond,
So there we go. Sentience, but with a little bit of werewolf testosterone flowing, I suppose.
you...
Is that a thing? Did I just invent that werewolf testosterone? Maybe there's a different hormone or something that's responsible for like werewolf behavior, but I don't know.
Last remaining Connor Wolf, and the guardian of this town.
Oh, there we go. In that case, that's why I said Connor. There we go. Yeah.
It's my fault I didn't see this coming.
Hmm.
You probably feel how I felt when you told me about podcasts.
Oh, I already got a
Podcast.
bit of the wolf rundown. She's gonna kill you.
She won't need to. If her plan is to poison the minds of the town against us, it worked. They'll kill us.
I think that was the plan. She's shifting gears now, thanks to me.
The best we could do is kill Truman. And then
I guess the question is, why is Truman trying to off her fellow wolves? I suppose. I mean, again, it's not that there's that out of the question for them to have disagreements and such, but what is her ultimate goal aside from that?
sulk in hiding for the rest of our days.
That's the best case scenario?
Get away from her, you! Desmond? What?
Oh no, they're gonna see Silas's corpse and they think it's him, aren't they?
Desmond? Oh, hell yeah!
Madison, I owe you a long, detailed explanation, but now is not the time.
Paul, it's Truman. She's orchestrated this whole thing. She was the killer all along. She's the one who attacked you. We have to stop her or else
At the town hall.
Because of that. Oh, I'm surprised that Desmond himself didn't point that out, but okay.
Great, okay. Does anyone have a plan?
The plan is kill Truman, I guess.
Girl thinks she can stop me. I'll rip her intestines out through her throat.
Yeah, you don't want to be declaring stuff out loud like that when you know there's a podcaster around. Oh, hey, look, it's one of the podcasters.
I'll kill them all. Never settle. I'll kill them all.
I do like how he just have like furry sequins or something on the on the suit to symbolize werewolf.
My master! I've brought you an offering to pledge allegiance to your flag.
Who the hell
I knew he was
are
gonna
you?
say that.
I am your faithful minion.
I work alone.
You don't remember attacking me?
The McMahon blood runs through his veins because of your sloppiness, Truman. You should have finished him off when you had the chance.
Silence!
I mean, again, I guess now we're confirming again it was just her.
Take me as your student. And together, we can destroy the Connor Wolves. I can give you names, addresses, places of business, social security numbers.
I get it.
But wouldn't she have those already? She's been in Connor Creek longer than he has, and has obviously is aware of everyone in town.
I was so consumed with bloodlust that I didn't consider the future of my lineage.
Which is a very good point, actually, if you're that alone.
Mating with you would keep the bloodline pure.
And you made it weird.
Sorry, did you just say mating?
I can't believe we...
I like how she said to keep the bloodline pure. I wish Aiden were here. I could make a very obvious Fallen Angels joke. If anyone's seen on Aiden's main channel, there's a show that he and I co-wrote that he's the director and producer of called Fallen Angels. And one of the lines that, because he's like the main writer, and one of the things I keep like making fun of is that one of the characters in a flashback was about to like kill his daughter for some reason, and all that he says in Aiden's most like Western accent is like, "I must keep the bloodline pure." We never get elaboration on what that means because it's just like a one-off situation. But I always love bringing that up as like, wow, okay, for all the reasons.
I picked Paul's plan. All right, I'm gonna sneak up behind Truman and surprise attack her when she stays.
That was in like episode 1, by the way. If anyone's curious about Fallen Angels, that's episode 1. So you won't have to wait very long before that's becomes a thing.
From the hit, that's your chance.
Wait, you can't leave. I'm a terrible shot. What if I miss?
Madison,
You're the sheriff.
there's no better time to tell you that you got this than right now. So here it is. You got this.
Wait,
There's no other
I
time.
only got
There's-
one bullet.
What?
Am I in a goddamn monster movie?
Yeah.
Essentially, monster TV series.
You are the law in this town. Save your friends and protect your community.
And avenge your brother as well. That might motivate her.
Take back what's yours. You got this.
Are you sure?
I have to be.
Desmond Connor.
She's me for real. Can't even swear in like those terrible fight situations. In fact, the ship name for Artis and Madison is Oz. Why did these two have a ship name of all things? But I mean, a creative one regardless, but my goodness, of all the characters to ship together.
My father's told me
I guess it's better than Truman and Paul, keeping the bloodline pure.
so many stories about your father.
All of them lies, I'm sure.
Could she not smell Artemis behind her? I would have thought so.
Hard to believe that our families founded this place, eh? What luck to discover the wellspring for all werewolves.
Until your kind poisoned the water with their lust for power, we had no choice. You chose violence. We chose peace.
No! You chose submission! Because the Connor wolves are weak. The McMahons have always been the alphas. We've always been smarter, stronger.
Of course they go with the alpha line with werewolves. I mean, it's hard not to. Even if it's been disproven, it's hard not to.
More cunning! And more virile, right, my love? Yes, my progeny. Okay, we're doing this.
I guess we're doing this. You have to with Merrick at Wells there.
It's an old and ugly grudge. Let the sins of our fathers remain in the past. Hasn't it been long enough?
Truth be told, I could have taken a little longer myself. Under my rule, Minor Mole would have slowly depleted the town's silver. The Connor wolves would lose control of their abilities, and the humans that you now call friends would have killed you all!
Oh, okay, right. I guess like depleting the silver would mean that, would usher in more werewolves than otherwise. That would have been a good angle for the anti-mining actually to represent, because they like take away the thing that's defending us. You know what? Fair.
But then this one and his sister inexplicably got involved and spoiled the ending!
Oh, and we are so sorry about that, my queen. It will never happen again.
It's fine, really. It just puts us ahead of schedule and requires a little more work from me. Namely, killing everyone in this town one by one!
Really? Really? I guess we're doing this as well. All right, then. This would explain how she was able to record for the last episode of the podcast, so yeah, sure.
This is between us.
I'll just wait.
1 second. Okay. Did I mention my seasonal allergies also came back in a major way this week? Because they've been doing like a bunch of cutting of trees in various places around this town, unrelated to each other. Yeah, not pleasant. Okay, continuing. Oh, that's the theme song in the background. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, okay. All right, then. This is a classic thing to do in mostly season finales, but again, or final action sequences of like playing the theme song as part of the final battle. Or a battle towards the final, I guess. Really? Oh no, the claws of another werewolf. We just heard about that. Oh dear. Desert might be toast. She just... Oh, okay. Just... All right. you're asking Des in this moment. That implies that you're. Well, I mean, now you're gonna give way that you're not on Truman's side. You could have asked Truman to get the fangs out and then use that against her. Someone's got their hand on the hatchet handle. Nice.
Can we just kill her already?
Oh, they're moving too fast. I can't get a clear shot.
Paul, we need you.
Okay.
We need you.
Holy shit, I can't believe my plan worked. Sheriff, you've always been, never forget that you... Madison, I love you.
What? Well, there's a ship name, I suppose, that we should point out. What's Madison and Paul's ship name? Is that a thing in the fandom as well?
Listen to me. Look at me. That
I was
crazy
in
bitch
Bristol as
killed
well.
Ryan. Now you have
Yeah, there we go. See, that's what I was saying. Play the Ryan card. That would absolutely motivate her.
one bullet in that gun. If it's meant for anyone, it's meant for her.
Problem is, Desmond's in the way now. I guess if she shoots you, it would depending on the gun and the bullet itself, it might pass through her. But I'm not enough of an expert on guns to know which one is correct. If that's going to be a, if that's going to be a piercing round or not. What am I, an American? Yes, but that's for another day. Respect to. Ah, clever cut. I was about to say I knew at the end of the episode, but hey, there you are. I thought it'd be a case of like, oh, okay, if she shoots the right or wrong person. But no, who shot who at the Copacabana? That's the question we have until next week. So yeah, I mean, this one not too much. Again, another case of what Ada was saying last week of there being only a couple of scenes in this one. But I would argue that we heard like the much older feud between the Connors and the McMahons that now we are aware that it's tied to the werewolf lore because the Cosmic McMahons were werewolves themselves. That was important to get across, and it was done somewhat naturally. Maybe not so much because Desmond was kind of Desmond was like, those were the Trumans and the McMahons and blah 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 blah. It's like, I mean, okay, sure, she would probably have like heard that before. I mean, explain that to maybe Artemis or to or even to Paul who was in the room at the time. Maybe that would have been. But I will say at least they tried. I can tell they were trying to make the exposition sound natural. And that's more than I can say for a lot of stuff that I've reviewed in the past, both on this channel and the main. So yeah, that's also really good. I'm gonna appreciate even if something doesn't go quite so well, even if there was but if I can acknowledge that an attempt was made. So there it is, acknowledgement. Yes. Aside from that, again, not too much else to say about this. The special effects, I mean, I assume that they probably blew most of their budget on like hiring Sean Astin particularly, and like some of the other the actors who've now gained higher profiles since their Stargate days. Maybe not. Maybe that's maybe they were more willing to return. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I guess either way you'd end up with something fairly similar. I still can't get over the furry like details and such on the suit, as if that is to say, okay, that's part of the transformations. Your clothes end up getting decorations. Maybe the fur was meant to be seeping through from the inside. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, if that's what full werewolves look like, I guess Paul probably won't be able to get his fangs out very easily anyway, because he'd be in even less state of transformation than Truman and Des in this case. I wonder as well if Desmond being a Connor would be a case of like Desmond Connor, as in like Des O'Connor, the celebrity. Maybe that was another thing because, you know, they reference obviously Ryan Reynolds and Burt Reynolds. So there's, I guess that it's not off the table. But I mean, I don't think Des O'Connor was much of a household name outside of the UK as those two were. So, or slash are. Again, could be wrong, but that's no topic for another day. Now to wrap up with what I almost forgot I was going to say. And this is one thing that they did. I said before, they sacrificed something for this episode that the other Wayward Guide episodes, had up until this point, and that is the ambiguity of what was going on. Obviously, at some point, if they were going this direction anyway, that was bound to happen. But one thing that really drew me into Wayward Guide specifically was the uncertainty of like whether or not, like, how does the town justify this? Sort of in a similar vein to how Scooby-Doo handles a lot of its like most of its monsters, I suppose. I know there are some Scooby-Doo continuities where there are actual monsters, but for the most part, they tend to be fake, and they go into like how someone might have faked it, however implausible that may have been. And that's one of the things we're like, okay, well, I mean, it's an interesting angle of, okay, this is how somebody, you know, show that, like, you know, utilizes the supernatural ideas, you know, to like incite fear and, you know, achieve their goals, which seemed like this was going in that direction. I mean, again, the werewolves existing and like actually coming forward on a few episodes like did prepare us for that eventuality, and the shadows, that was also still ambiguous. Like, again, I like how they're playing around with like, okay, this is more likely to be real, but still this level of uncertainty. So I'm on the fence about whether or not I prefer that the werewolves were actually real this whole time versus people believing they're werewolves like their entire lives, or werewolves existed in this area because of superstitions. I don't know which one of those is probably better or not. In fact, I will leave that to the VOD watchers in the comments to decide. So there's no thoughts of liking or disliking, and leaving your comments on the thing that I just said. Do you prefer that the werewolves were real, or do you not? And potentially a little bit of why. Let's get a discussion going. Let's see what's going on. But to everyone else, I'm going to lie down now, and I will see you all soon enough in another But a Bunch video. Toodle pip.